Damn, my GoPro battery is fucking dead already almost. Alright, anyways. Welcome to one of my shitty videos. Today we're kind of resuming, Today we're resuming kind of where I left off. I had a fixed wing. I was putting a WSE Matek 411 in there. And I had it set up with iNav. And there was a couple of YouTubers, that I watch, like Mr. D. He kind of talks about iNav settings, which helped, and then there was an older gentleman, what was his name? He's the one I really watched. Let me give him a shout out, hold on, because I still watched that video. There's a few of them. I can't remember them all, but there's a whole bunch of YouTubers. I think it was Andrew Newman, Andrew Newton. He's the one that got me into the Matek WSE and has a good video talking about it and kind of really goes into detail talking about what pin is, and I still watch the video because it helps to watch. So yeah, Andrew Newton, thank you. And who's another guy I want to thank? Yeah, the guy that had the Aero Scout, he's the one that I watched, and there was a younger kid too that had done this to the Aero Scout. But this guy put a GPS and a flight controller in his. His name was David Mercy. I guess David Mercy Productions. He took an Aero Scout and smacked a flight controller and put GPS in it. But he was nice enough to actually label the actual pinouts. So when I first got the plane, I used a Radio Master controller, which Radio Master TX16. This is a bind to all. It's a multi-protocol, so you don't have to have one controller to one receiver. This was a one receiver to one controller thing. This was a Spectrum DSM to whatever. Anyways, I just bound this to that, but in order to do that, I needed to know what channel I needed to say, hey, we have one channel doing 2 ailerons. So when I set up my plane, I had to say, oh yep, we have a plane, but we have one channel controlling both ailerons, which was kind of confusing to me, but the controller knew to flip and send 2 signals through one wire. And yeah, that one of those guys I just said, this guy right here, Dave Mercy Productions, he was nice enough to actually go through. Damn it, if I can actually click on the comments. Oh motherfucker, I actually clicked on the time 126 where you actually go through the pins, and that's very helpful when you're programming your controller to know what pin goes for what. So I was flying that on my OpenTX controller, which does great, but I wanted more range. So obviously you can't just put a crossfire, which speaks on almost like an S-bus form, but we're not even speaking on S-bus. We're speaking through TX and RX, and then there's your power ground. But yeah, the plane has more than 2 servos, so it can't talk through that many wires. So this talks through a signal. Well, you would either need like a Matek little board, which you can buy, that you would solder your crossfire module to, so that it would invert your S-bus signal to the PPM or PWM signal. Anyways, I didn't want to do that. I had a flight controller which has iNav on it. So I got my crossfire connected up to my TX, RX, and power. So now my controller can talk to my flight controller. This is her GPS. I already had these wires kind of wired up for when I had my fixed wing. I bought these nice Adreno wires where there's a nice set where they come all female, male, male, or female, male, so that you can do a core, like plug and play the way you want. I have these set up so like these are extended if I need to be extended. Everything's just test fit right now, but I'm pretty much gonna run everything out of here, put GPS here, put my crossfire signal wire like up here, kind of like that. And I was thinking putting this somewhere there, but that's a little too much there, so I might end up putting like my VTX like on top of my wing or somewhere where it can stay cold, because the VTX is gonna get warm. But yeah, this is pretty much your basic pinout. The flight controller needs to face this way because there's an little arrow facing this way that tells us this is gonna be our power wire. I'm gonna have to extend that This I'm going to shorten. This is for the ESC that's kind of conveniently tucked up underneath there, but this flight controller is going to get kicked out of the way. This one is, I believe, your elevator. This one's rudder, and then like aileron. Yeah, I gotta label these ones, but I haven't done it yet. I just started labeling my actual servos that are in the plane, where they're at, and then I was gonna plug these to these. I gotta go back through iNav and figure out what servo was what, but I did last night write it down on a piece of paper somewhere. Yeah, like what these were. Like signal 3 would be tail, which would be this one, and then signal 4 would be left wing, which would be this one, and then what was it, signal this would be the right wing, and this would be the rudder. This is rudder. Oh, the first one was pitch, so this is up and down of the tail. Last one is left right. But yeah, that took me a while to figure it out because I'm not good with planes, and my flight controller and iNav labeled their servo something, and you also can mix them in the mixer. I'm sorry, I'm gibbering now. There's a lot to do, but I finally figured out what plugs on my flight controller do what. Now I'm figuring out what wires right here go where in the plane so I can match them up. I'm labeling everything up so that if it doesn't work, I can just plug everything back in. I'm not going to rip out my receiver until these match up, and I can have everything kind of just sit here, very nasty, wires hanging, but see it function properly. Then I'll snip and nip and make everything neat and tidy. But yeah, that's kind of where the camera is going to go. I've seen a lot of people, or 2 people, put them here, but I just want to keep it sleek. I had no problem flying like that when I had it in there. Yeah, that's gonna be my Aero Scout. I'm gonna fly it in what is it, manual mode, because that's just your normal mode where it doesn't correct you. And then I was gonna do auto tune in manual mode because I think that's what I was told to do. I gotta watch a lot of these iNav videos, make sure I actually do auto tune correctly, because I want it to get a tune into the plane so that when I do like horizon or was it acro or any of the features, that'll actually keep me stable. And that's the kind of sketchy part. I don't want it to counteract and make me crash. I'd rather crash on my own doing. But yeah, we'll be able to have on-screen display, which will show voltage, our GPS, our battery life, our speed, how high we are, how far we are. Yeah, and then we could use Crossfire. We can go stupid far with Crossfire. And binding that little Crossfire thing was another thing of itself with the OpenTX. But if you've already bound one of the receivers to your controller, it's just the process of updating your receivers if you haven't updated them all. It's easy, you just gotta hit bind and then let it update. Oh yeah, and then go into your flight controller and hit Crossfire so that when it does want to bind, it actually can bind. Because it'll update and it won't bind if your flight controller is not set for Crossfire. This has to be set for Crossfire. Then the red light will go green and let you bind again. Blah, 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 blah. Watch my video after the plane gets done. Hopefully it doesn't crash.